Welcome to Astrology, Ancient Science in the Modern World. I'm your host, Rollin Kona Astrologer. Got some interesting things to share with you about astrology and about some environmental science too. Yeah, like check this out. This was in the Sunday paper, and I've been working on two birds, Alala and Nene, and this does my heart good. Here's some young Nenes. Now these were not successfully reintroduced into the wild. These guys are on the golf course. When the wise old Nene geese, found themselves out there, and they were not adapted to our modern environment. No, they evolved in the pre-people environment before Hawaiians and all the rest. Anyway, after 1,000 years of living with people, they went right back there and invaded the golf courses. Nearest thing they could find to a farm. And that worked pretty good. Now here is the other side of this story. See that parrot? We're not reintroducing them into the wild. No, they're bred and they're kept in homes and they're highly valued. And this is what we need to do with the alala, the Hawaiian raven, and the Hawaiian nene, is they need to be allowed to go back into people's homes, put a high value on them, have our experts help in the breeding and the safety of these animals, and we will preserve them. If we insist on putting them back in the wild, well, the raven may not survive. Well, my job here first is to get some astrology going for you. So here it goes. Show 1059. Interesting week. Mercury is making a run on the T-square. And so starts on Friday morning. Mercury hits Jupiter. And this is, let's see, then I'll translate this for you a little bit better. These are a bunch of stuff about kids and words, and the thing is, Mercury is going to be here next Sunday, not the coming Sunday for you. Mercury will hit Uranus, and the Uranus people will speak out a week from your Sunday. Yeah, and on that Friday morning, it opposes Jupiter. It's going to be words about the rich people and the lawyers, that are messing up our world. And here's Mercury squaring Pluto. This is Thursday night, next Thursday night, a week from you. You may find yourself saying some dirty words about then. So first it opposes Jupiter. Now let's see, what was first? First it squares Pluto, dirty words, Thursday night. And then Friday morning opposes Jupiter. The rich people and the lawyers are ripping us off. And then finally Sunday in the morning, it goes by Uranus. Mercurial adventures. Mercury is a teacher, He teaches us things. Hermes, Thoth. Well, what I want to do is go over the sky mirror for you first. And then I've got some amazing stuff to share to you. We're going to jump ahead in time a little bit. For now, here's the T-square, Uranus and Jupiter, fighting it out, squaring Pluto. So our erstwhile president decided he's going to pump the military budget. Oh yeah, more guns. Well, there used to be guns and butter. Well, forget the butter. He's going to trash EPA, take their money, and give it to the military. Oh boy. Lovely, isn't it? Just lovely. I got to tell you, folks, I love my country, but I hate this government. Yeah. When Ben Franklin saw the chart he got, from the Declaration of Independence, he said, oh, well, maybe that's the best we can do right now. But I've been through too much of it. I'm too old. I've seen the repeat. Enough military, enough war, enough rich people ripping us all off. Well, okay, down to business. What I'm going to do is run the moon around the edge of this planetary pattern. And look at that, there's even Saturn, the judge, kind of in cahoots with the lawyers. Jupiter and Saturn, Ben Franklin made a lot of fun of those guys, but they're not much fun when they're driving your world. Well, a nation of laws? No, a nation of common sense. So here goes the moon around the edge, and as it goes through these different days, it makes angles to these planets, to these people, and that generates the mood of the times. If you're in a Thursday night show, well, here's a sextile to Pluto. Happens late. New ideas come up, 10, 11 o'clock Thursday night. New discoveries. Go to YouTube and look around a little bit. Look for things under the surface. Graham Hancock, Robert Bauval, those guys are it. And Schock, you know, the geologist. 3 heroes in my book have really brought out what's hidden and we haven't been told. The conspiracy of the professors, you know, and yeah, don't change anything. No, no, no. No catastrophes in history. Just even, nice evolution. Sorry, folks. It's been catastrophes all the way. Anyway, Friday, the moon's still in Scorpio. You can still do some deep diving here. In the middle of the day, it trines the sun. You could get a plan together. Yeah, something good could come out of this. Around dinner time, it shifts into Sagittarius, a mutable fire sign. Things get a little more confusing. But Saturday morning, here's a nice trine to Mercury. Kids are happy. There is a new moon here, though, just after breakfast or before breakfast. So there's a little over-emotion Saturday morning. You'll see it in the kids. But after the emotional stuff is done, here's a nice sextile to Venus. And, oh, it's a trine. Yeah, so there's some lovingness, too. Stay with the kids, stay with the love. Try not to show a lot of emotion. As you go through the rest of Saturday, it becomes increasingly confusing. Whoops. Because here's a square to Neptune. Now, we had that new moon here on Neptune. And, you know, it's all about Neptune stuff in the news. Yep. Oh, marijuana, marijuana. Jeff Sessions, oh boy. A lot of confusion, a lot of lies, a lot of deceit. Remember, it was Haldeman confessed Nixon made up the drug war and demonized pot and opium just to get the hippies and the blacks out of his way. Worked for 40 years. We're still doing it. Drug war. Ugh. Saturday night, the 18th of March, this dreadful year of 2017. Sunday it gets better. Well, it depends who you are. The moon early in breakfast time makes a sextile to Jupiter. Seems like we know something. There's some wisdom here. Can't be sure, really. Saturday evening around dinner time, here's the trine to Uranus. And maybe there's some common sense around. I don't know. But look out. Here, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, the moon goes by Saturn. And, you know, Saturn, he's going to go for the law and order. And he's going to go for what's worked in the past. He's conservative. This is Capricorn. So you might have had a pretty good Sunday during the day, but in the evening it's going to get cold. You're going to feel boxed in. Too many laws. By the time you get to Monday morning, moon's still in Sagittarius in the early Monday morning, the 20th. And here's a square to the sun, so your ambitions aren't going to work out. Forget it. Sorry. Here's also a square to Venus Monday afternoon. And that's no fun. So no sweets there. There is a nice trine to Mars. Comes up probably around dinner time, maybe a little before dinner. So here's an opportunity to get out and do some physical stuff. Yeah, get physical. Get some exercise. Heat up your muscles. Protect something. You're lazy all day Monday. You gave up in the middle of the day. Well, get back on your hero wagon and go protect something Monday night. That'll work. Tuesday, moon's still in Capricorn. In the morning, around breakfast time, makes a sextile to Neptune. Oh yeah, kind of dreamy. We believe in something. What do we believe in? I'll tell you, everything I learned in school you can't believe in, including the history of man and mankind and civilization. Whoa. No, sorry. I've learned some disturbing things about that. Oh, what's that? A little teeny little ant. Look at that. Get away, little ant. I like these little guys. They don't bother you. They clean up the place. That's Pluto, the bug. And Tuesday, well, here's that nasty Wednesdays turned into terrible Tuesdays. Happens in the evening. Starts with a square to Jupiter. We're overdoing it in the middle of Tuesday. Then it gets really, oh, that's not the Venus. That's, who's that? That's Mercury. Can't communicate. That's in the morning and around lunchtime. And then in the evening, the moon goes by Pluto. This is like 9, 10 o'clock, and there's a panicky feeling. And then at midnight or 1 a.m. in the morning is a square to Jupiter. We're overdoing it. We can't sleep. And finally, Wednesday morning, here's the square to Uranus. So Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, you're probably going to lose some sleep. You could have some bad dreams. Where are we going in this world anyway? These guys won't talk about global warming, will they? No, get more oil out. Take the rest of it. For us right now, the hell with the future generation. Oh, excuse me. That's a very disturbing time for me. Everything that I've striven for all my life in the environmental science and stuff, he trumps out. He's trashing it. Yeah. Well, you're going to feel that Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. You'll still be a little shocky through most of Wednesday, I'm sure, after we see what the next folly he has in store for us. Oh, let's go release some more Hawaiian ravens. Yeah. You mean evict Hawaiian ravens, not release them. Well, Wednesday night, after dinner, the moon shifts into Aquarius. Suddenly there's some common sense. Yeah, by the time you go late, 9, 10 o'clock, here's a sextile to the sun. Well, I got some ambition. I can do something here. And then finally 1 a.m. or so, there's a sextile to Venus. And you can get some sleep and some sugar and some love and some sex. Feels kind of good. Doesn't it? Thursday morning, moon's still in Aquarius on the 23rd. And after breakfast here, the moon squares Mars. Uh-oh. Temper tantrums. Ask yourself what you're protecting. Slow down there. That's the way it is Thursday morning. Friday, on the 24th, the moon's still in Aquarius, and you get a nice little lineup here. It starts in the morning with, the trine to Jupiter. Wisdom comes out. And then the middle of the day, the sextile to Uranus. And maybe common sense is available. Yeah, maybe we could do something for the homeless and for the environment and the things we all share together. After all, we're all one. Huh? The Mayan said, "In la ketch, I am another you." That's the truth. Settle into it. On Friday night, after dinner, here's a sextile to Saturn. You can make up a plan. Whatever's going on here Friday might be some good sense. Cross your fingers. On Saturday, the 25th of March, we start with the moon going by the south node, the dragon's tail in the morning. We need help. You're probably going to stay in bed for a while. There's a new moon and a sextile to Mars in the afternoon, and you might get some work done. Get physical. Be a hero. Do some protecting. As you go through the rest of Saturday, when you get to 8, 9, 10 o'clock here, the moon's going by Neptune. And Neptune, we had the new moon there. We had a whole bunch of emphasis on Neptune, the priest, artist, doctor, musician. If it's good in your chart, this 13 Pisces Neptune, you could get some religious, artistic enlightenment. If it's not so good, you're going to get bad smells and confusion and lose things and spill things. This is about liquids. So that's what Saturday night is all about. You'd be wise not to imbibe alcohol Saturday night. It'll just confuse you. You'll lose things. You might find them Sunday morning. Here's Sunday morning, March 26th. The moon sextiles Pluto. There's some discovery. But here's that full moon point. 22 Pisces Virgo full moon. So there's some lunacy around in the middle of Sunday the 26th. Yeah, and you know, we might do some discovery, but still it's a over emotional time, and any trouble you get into is going to get worse because as you go through Sunday, you get just past dinner here at 8-9 o'clock, the moon squares Saturn, and you know, that's things get delayed and hung up, and there's failures, and that's not much fun. No. But that's the way it is right now. Okay, I want to talk about comets and asteroids. And you know, what I put on the show is generally stuff that shows up in my life in strange ways, and this one surely did. I didn't expect it, but 3 of my favorite books all came together with the same kind of information. And first, here's Ben. Now, you remember in his almanac, every year for 20 years, he wrote down things he thought was very interesting. And here in 1754, Ben is talking about comets and things that swirl around the sun and sometimes come closer and closer and closer. And he doesn't like them very much. Let them loose to wander through the sky is above human understandings. Some of these dreadful bodies, yeah, that produce conflagrations and things. It is plain, he says, that the shock of a body about the size of a comet against the Earth or any of the planets moving with the rapidity that they have in their approach to a recess from the sun. So he knew that he knew that comets are moving much, much faster. You know, 100 times faster than asteroids, makes them much more dangerous. But the motion of both the comet and the planet should happen to be contrary. They might be attended with consequences frightful beyond all imagination. Yeah, it's highly probable that even the near approach of a comet to the Earth would cause terrible effects, Ben Franklin said. Our comfort is that the whole machine of nature is in the hands of the one, and so he thinks, he prays that the comet won't bug us. I used to do a lot of these Ben Franklin humors. Here's one on lawyers. He says in 1734's almanac, a lawyer being sick and extreme ill was moved by his friends to make his will, which soon he did, gave all the wealth he had to frantic persons. Where am I? Excuse me. He gave all the wealth he had to frantic persons, lunatic and mad, and to his friends this reason did reveal, that they might see with equity he deal. He says, from madman's hands I did my wealth receive, therefore that wealth to madman's hand I leave. A good man is seldom uneasy, an ill one never easy. Teach your child to hold his tongue, he'll learn fast enough to speak. Drive thy business, let it not drive thee, or you. From May 1734, neither a fortress nor a maidenhead will hold out long after they begin to parley. Haha. Astrologers say this is a good day to make love in May. Who pleasure gives shall joy receive. I think May is Taurus, see? Be not sick too late, nor well too soon. Comets come by more often than we think. Remember the one that hit Jupiter, broke up in 7 pieces? Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9, 1994. Halley's Comet, 1910, 1986. Comet Kahutek, 1973. The Great Comet, 1811. So, you know, they come by kind of regular, and they're nothing to play with. They're, you know, when you see a comet, the natives from traditional colors, you know, different traditional societies, they're very fearful. Okay, my favorite book right now. I devoured this in about 5 days. Graham Hancock's Magician of the Gods. Now, I expected that he was going to go over all of the great stone monuments and discover they're a lot older than the archaeologists tell us, and that was entirely correct. That's what happened. But something else happened. While I'm reading through it, something else popped up. First thing was that a comet came by. The evidence is in. There was an ice age here. It was very cold for 200,000 years. Then it began to warm up. And as it's warming, suddenly, bang, it goes back down into this terrible ice age that lasted like 1,000 years. And everybody wondered, they call this a Younger Dryas. And then it went back up again to more modern warm periods here. Well, what was this period for 1,000 years? How come this is why mammoths froze with flowers in their mouth, huh? This is very strange. Well, the evidence is in. It was a comet. A big comet broke up in pieces. And a lot of the big pieces hit the ice covering of North America and Europe, melted them out. All the ice water went into the... Anyway, it was a real disaster for a whole bunch of species and for men and for the civilizations that existed during the Ice Age. Very high civilizations. Better science that we have. Wonderful astrology, medicine, herbs, engineering. Yes. And they were wiped out at this point. And a few people survived and took off in boats and tried to restart civilization in different places, like South America and Quetzalcoatl, Viracocha, and down in Chile. And there's a few. He was apparently tall, bearded white man that went out and taught the civilization sciences again, or tried to kickstart civilization. But you know, the people that were left were all hunter-gatherers. Wasn't easy. No. I'll try to shorten this for you. Göbekli Tepe turned out to be 12,000 years old. And a lot of the stuff Graham Hancock goes around and looks at, he turned up underground cities. Yes, there's one over there in Turkey where 20,000 people could live under the ground. Why did people want to go under the ground? Well, they'd had some disasters. The Great Flood? The Great Flood was due to the comet. See? Poor Hancock. Only once does he mention the word astrology. But this is about precession. Here's the astrological ages. Why does he get into that? Because he discovers that a lot of the people who were there before the Great Flood, before the comet, had a wonderful astrology. They knew that the SHIT was about to hit the fan. It's about precession. At Göbekli Tepe, there's some stone stuff that shows they were modeling the time that we're living in today. And then they covered it all up. The whole complex, 50 times the size of Stonehenge. Why'd they do that? As a message to us. Yes, that the comet fragments are coming around again. Like between 1960 and 2040. Wow. Now later on, he gets down to sometime around the year 2030. The Earth is going to cross that part of the Tauride meteor shower that contains the old fragments of that comet. And some of them could be huge. So around 2030, we could be in for, another kind of disaster like that made the Great Flood. Yeah, coming right up. Graham says we got to forget all this crap about God and country and political stuff. Get the world together and defend the planet. Another wise man, Bruce Schofield, goes over Mayan cartoons. We find out that the one we just finished had to do with recording all knowledge. The one we're going into is the end of the Word of God. But here, 2032, it's the time, he says, the cartoon, the Mayans, time of total collapse where everything is lost. This is the worst of all the 13 20-year periods. And it starts 2032. Now, NASA has been told not to emphasize this, to try to ignore it. Professors all call it catastrophic stuff. They won't touch it. But here's some of my own work. The astronomers came up with one big asteroid. They know when it hits. April 13th, 2029. I did some astrology work on it. Yes. And when I first looked at this, I was a little bit horrified because the day before this thing supposedly hits or grazes very closely to the Earth, they don't know what, people are really scared. How scared are they, Mr. Frost? Well, I went back to look, and the last time humanity was so scared was when the Nazis drove their tanks all over Europe, and it scared the heck out of everybody. I spent a lot of time on this. I went back a little earlier to see if anybody tried to help. October 2028, in the final week, it's clear that the world started shooting missiles and nukes at this. It's a 1,000-foot wide asteroid called 2004 MN4. But they don't know whether it worked or not. They don't. They didn't, because we got really scared before it hit. Yeah. Nincompoops we elect can't do global warming. How are they going to do a meteor?